I never boasted about my monthly salary of 400,000. Anton and I had been dating for a year and decided to get married. He invited me to meet his family. I decided to joke around and play the role of a poor village simpleton, but I didn't even get a chance to enter their apartment. How? Before continuing, subscribe to the channel and leave any comment. Your support helps develop the channel and share even more stories with you. Enjoy listening. I was standing in front of the mirror in the hallway, critically evaluating my look. I replaced my jeans worth $3,000 with cheap mass-market ones, my expensive jacket with a Savita puffer coat that I bought specifically for this act. I even changed my handbag to a worn-out fabric one I found in my mom's closet. Are you serious? Anton looked at me in confusion. Why do you need this disguise, Vika? I want to see what your relatives are really like. I fixed a simple hairstyle. You yourself said your mother is very selective in relationships. During a year of our relationship, Anton never once invited me to meet his parents. There were always excuses: mom is sick, they're out of town, not the right time. And now, when we decided to get married, the meeting became inevitable. She's just cautious, the young man said nervously, adjusting his tie after my brother got married. Well, let's just say it didn't end well. I knew that story. His older brother Maxim had gotten involved with a girl who, according to the family, used him. The divorce was scandalous, with property division and endless court cases. I understand. That's why I want to check. I took my fiancé's hand. Anton, I just want to know who I'm dealing with. If your family is ready to accept me only because of money, then what sincerity can there be? The young man sighed heavily. Anton worked as a programmer and earned well, but compared to my income, it was far less. I was the head of the digital marketing department in a large IT company, and my 400,000 per month was the result of 10 years of hard work and constant self-education. But Anton didn't know that. He thought I earned like an ordinary manager, around 100 at most. They are good people, they're just worried about me. He put his arms around my shoulders. Mom really loves order and stability. Dad is calmer, but he listens to Mom. That's exactly why I want to understand what stability means to them, my wallet or my personality. We drove to their place in Butovo in my car. Not the usual Mercedes, but an old Solaris I borrowed from a friend. Anton stayed silent the whole way, occasionally glancing at me with concern. What if you don't like how they behave? He finally asked. Then I'll honestly say what I think. I slowed down at a traffic light. Anton, we're going to get married. That means your parents will become mine too. I need to know who I'm dealing with. You're too principled sometimes, the young man sighed. Is that bad? No, I guess that's why I fell in love with you. I smiled. Anton really did love me. I had no doubt about that, but his family meant a lot to him. I understood that if his parents didn't accept me, our relationship would be at risk. That's why I came up with this little performance, to test everyone and put everything in place. We parked near a typical 9-story building. Anton nervously fixed his clothes and looked at me. Maybe you'll still take something with you, he tried one last time. Too late. I grabbed the worn-out bag. We're here. We walked up the stairs to the 6th floor. Of course, the elevator wasn't working. Anton was silent, but I could feel his tension. On the landing, he took out his keys, but before he could act, the door was opened by a woman around 50, with a neat hairstyle and wearing a home outfit that still looked expensive. Aunt Osha. She hugged her son, carefully looking at me over his shoulder. And this must be your Victoria? Yes, Mom. Meet Vika. This is my mother, Elena Borisovna. I extended my hand, trying to look slightly shy. Nice to meet you. Anton has told me so much about you. Come in, come in. Elena Borisovna gave me a quick, assessing look. Take your shoes off. I removed the cheap puffer jacket, under which I was wearing a simple turtleneck from Austin. Anton's mother looked me up and down, lingering on my boots, which fortunately were not branded either. Go to the living room, Vladimir Petrovich, she called deeper into the apartment. They've arrived. The apartment was an ordinary three-room flat, but with a good renovation and solid furniture. Diplomas and photographs hung on the walls, and shelves were filled with books and souvenirs from trips. The atmosphere was very cozy and comfortable. A man came out of the room, tall, slightly gray-haired, wearing home trousers and a shirt, clearly an intelligent person. "Dad, this is Vika," Anton introduced me. "Vladimir Petrovich," his father said, shaking my hand. "Very nice to finally meet you." He seemed more welcoming than his wife. His smile was genuine, without the assessing look I had received from Elena Borisovna. "Sit at the table," the hostess gestured us toward the kitchen. "I made your favorite pies, Antosha." At the table, a normal conversation began, disguised as a polite interrogation. Elena Borisovna asked about my job, my family, and future plans. I honestly spoke about my parents. My mother works as a nurse in a clinic, my father is a mechanic at a factory. About my job, I lied, presenting myself as an ordinary manager in a small company. "And your salary?" the woman asked directly. "You understand, it's important for us that Anton doesn't carry the whole family on his shoulders." Anton blushed. "Mom, come on, there's nothing like that." I smiled. "I understand your concern. I earn around 40,000. Not much, but enough to live on." Elena Borisovna and Vladimir Petrovich exchanged glances. I saw her mentally calculating our future family budget. "Do you have a degree? Career growth?" Anton's mother continued her questioning. "I try, but without connections it's hard with higher education." I played the role carefully. "I only have a technical college diploma." In reality, I had 2 higher educations, economics and marketing, plus an MBA, which I completed part-time while already working in a company. "And where is Victoria's family from?" Vladimir Petrovich joined the conversation. "From Ryazan. My parents live there in their own house. Small, but theirs." "I see," Elena Borisovna nodded. "And children? You've thought about them?" "Anton loves children very much." "We've discussed it many times with Anton," I answered. "We both want a family, but not immediately. First, we want to stand firmly on our feet." "Of course," I added. "But not in the first year. First, stability." "Correct," Vladimir Petrovich unexpectedly agreed. "Family is responsibility." But Elena Borisovna had clearly already formed her opinion about me. She became noticeably colder, answered briefly, and then fully switched to talking with her son, as if I were not even there. Anton felt uncomfortable and tried to include me in the conversation, but his mother deliberately ignored my responses. At the end of dinner, the woman stood up. "Anton, help me in the kitchen with the dishes." I was left alone with Vladimir Petrovich. He poured himself tea and looked at me carefully. "Don't be offended by Lena. She just worries a lot about her sons." "I understand," I replied sincerely. "Any mother wants the best for her child." "Exactly." After the story with Maxim, she became very cautious. The man sighed. His wife seemed like such a sweet girl. And then, she turned out to have debts of 1.5 million. Maxim paid everything, thinking it was temporary. Then it turned out she gambled. More debts, he paid again. When they divorced, she sued and got half of the apartment he bought with his own money. The story was sad, and I understood their concerns. But what upset me was something else. I seemed to have already been placed in the category of a potential problem. Muted voices came from the kitchen. Anton was saying something to his mother. She replied sharply but quietly. I strained to listen, but couldn't make out the words. "Don't you doubt your son?" I asked Vladimir Petrovich. "I mean, his ability to choose people." He smiled. "Anton is a good boy. Maybe too trusting. He always sees only the good in people." Is that bad? Not bad, but dangerous in this world. The conversation in the kitchen was becoming more and more tense. I heard Elena Borisovna raise her voice. Just look at her. What is she even? A 40,000 salary, technical college, parents from the provinces. Mom, what does that even matter? Anton replied. I love her. Love is wonderful, son. But what will you live on? On your salary alone? And when children come? She's clearly not the type who will bring any money into the family. I felt disgusted. Vladimir Petrovich looked embarrassed, clearly realizing I could hear everything. Maybe we should go to the balcony, he suggested. Not necessary, I stood up. I already understood everything. Victoria, don't take it too personally. And how else am I supposed to take it? I grabbed my bag. Sorry, but I'm leaving. At that moment something loudly fell in the kitchen. Anton rushed out, red and disheveled. Vika, wait, don't. I headed toward the exit. What happened? Elena Borisovna came out after him, wiping her hands with a towel, but there was not a trace of sympathy in her voice. We're not finished talking. We already discussed everything. I turned to her. And I understand your attitude toward me. What attitude? I just want to understand what kind of person is claiming to become my son's wife. Claiming? I felt anger boiling inside me. Excuse me, but I am not claiming anything. Anton and I simply love each other. Love, the woman waved her hand dismissively. And then what? He will work himself to death to support both of you, and you will sit at home giving birth to children or working for your pathetic 40,000? Mom, Anton tried to. Don't mom me, she cut him off. I have the right to know who my son is getting involved with. I've already seen how one bad choice ruins a life. I am not your former daughter-in-law, and I don't have debts. Not yet, Elena Borisovna smirked. And what will happen in a year or two? You'll get used to a normal life. You'll want things you can't afford. And who will pay? Anton, of course. I work and support myself. 40,000 is not supporting yourself, it's surviving. Her tone became more and more contemptuous. Look at yourself. Market clothes, a handbag that's embarrassing to take on the subway. You understand my son is used to a different level. I saw Anton shifting between us, turning red, opening his mouth, but still not defending me. A different level? I asked. A normal level, she snapped. When there is money in the house. When you don't have to count every coin. When you can afford quality things, travel, education for children. And you think I can't provide that? What can you provide? She looked me straight in the eyes. Honestly tell me, besides problems and the need to carry another person? I waited for Anton to intervene, to say something in my defense, but he only nervously fidgeted and mumbled. Mom, please, let's just calm down. Nothing is calm, she raised her voice again. Remember this, sweetheart, I will not let him repeat his brother's mistake. I took a deep breath, feeling my patience finally snap. Let's speak honestly then, I said. You think I'm a poor village fool trying to trap your precious son, don't you? And isn't that so? Elena Borisovna crossed her arms. Technical college, 40,000 salary, simple working-class parents. What can you give my son besides being a burden? Mom, stop, Anton finally spoke, but it sounded more like a plea than a defense. I won't stop, she waved him off. Let her explain what she's bringing into the family, or is she only planning to take, and take? And what if I say I'm not planning to take anything? I looked straight into her eyes. What if I have my own apartment, my own car, my own savings? Elena Borisovna let out a short laugh. On 40,000 a month? Have you fallen from the moon? Or do you think I'm stupid? You can only afford to rent a tiny apartment somewhere far out. Maybe I save every penny. Save, she mocked. How old are you? 28. Even if you had been saving half your salary since 18, what would you have? A used car at best. I looked at Anton, waiting for him to finally stand up for me. But he only shifted uncomfortably and muttered something about everyone calming down. And anyway, his mother continued, what kind of apartment can a girl with that salary have? A 30-year mortgage. And who will pay it? Mom, please, Anton looked completely lost. Let's not do this. And how should we do it? Open your eyes, son. She is clearly planning to live off you. That's not true, I couldn't hold back. I have never been a freeloader. And what were you then? Elena Borisovna asked sarcastically. A successful businesswoman? Or maybe a billionaire? Vladimir Petrovich tried to calm his wife. Lena, you're going too far. Be quiet, she snapped at him. One son already stepped on these rakes. Enough. I could see Anton was uncomfortable, but he still didn't find the courage to defend me. He was torn between wanting to support me and his fear of his mother, and that hurt the most. Listen, Elena Borisovna, I said as calmly as possible. Let's test your theories. What if I tell you I don't earn 40,000, but 10 times more? What? The woman froze for a second, then immediately laughed. Of course. 400,000 a month. And you probably work as a top manager at Gazprom? No, not Gazprom. An IT company. I lead a digital marketing department. Of course. And your car is not a 10-year-old Solaris, but a Mercedes. And your apartment is not rented, but a luxury one in the center. Yes. I have a Mercedes. And I also own an apartment in Komovniki. Anton stared at me like he had seen a ghost. Elena Borisovna also hesitated for a moment, but quickly regained control. How funny. And what, this Austin outfit is your disguise as a simple girl? Watched too many TV shows? Exactly. I took my phone out of my bag. What proof do you need? Bank statements? Work chats? Photos of my real apartment? Silence fell in the hallway. Vladimir Petrovich widened his eyes. Anton opened his mouth, but again said nothing. This can't be, Elena Borisovna finally muttered, but doubt had already crept into her voice. I took out my business card and handed it to her. Here. Victoria Morozova, head of digital marketing. You can Google the company and see how much people in my position earn. She took the card, read it, and went pale. Vladimir Petrovich looked over her shoulder. This is a serious company, he murmured. Very serious, I confirmed. And yes, I really earn 400,000 a month. Plus bonuses. I own a Mercedes. I have a fully paid apartment in Komovniki. But why? Anton started. I cut him off. Why did I lie? To understand who I'm dealing with. And you know what? I understood. Vika, Anton tried. What, Anton? My voice sharpened. An hour ago you listened while your mother called me a parasite, a freeloader, insulting my parents and me. And what did you do? You weakly asked her to stop. I tried. No. You didn't try. You were scared. Instead of protecting the woman who is supposed to become your wife, you hid behind your mother's skirt. Elena Borisovna tried to intervene. Listen, if you really... Be quiet. I cut her off sharply. With you, I'll talk separately. First I'm finishing with your son. Anton stood there red-faced, looking down. What hurt me the most, I continued, is not that your mother called me a gold digger. Not that she insulted me. But that you allowed it. I need a husband, Anton. A man who protects his family, not someone who is afraid of upsetting mommy. Vika, I didn't know you. You didn't know I was successful. And so what? Would that change anything? If I really earned 40,000, would I deserve to be treated like that? If I came from a simple family, would I be unworthy of respect? No, of course not, Anton whispered. Then why did you allow your mother to speak to me like I was nothing? Anton fell silent. And now to you, Elena Borisovna. I turned to his mother. For half an hour you explained to me that I'm unworthy of your son because I earn too little. Now it turns out I earn 4 times more than him. What changed in your opinion? Well, if you are really financially... Stop. I raised my hand. That is the wrong answer. The correct answer is, I'm sorry, I was wrong to judge a person only by income. Elena Borisovna pressed her lips together, clearly unwilling to apologize. Do you know what is the saddest part? I continued, putting the card away. I was ready to love my husband's family. Ready to accept you as you are. Ready to build relationships, find compromises. But you immediately labeled me as an enemy. We were just trying to protect our son, Vladimir Petrovich said quietly. Protect him from what? I asked. From love? A bitter smile appeared on my face. You know what you wanted? You wanted to protect him from responsibility, find him a wife who was like an ATM that would support him while obediently staying silent. That's not true, Elena Borisovna protested. It is exactly true. And you know what the saddest part is? Your son turned out exactly the way you raised him, weak and dependent on his mother's opinion. I turned toward the exit. Anton followed me. Vika, wait. We need to talk this through. There's nothing to talk through. How will you protect our children if you couldn't protect their future mother? How will you make decisions in a family if you're still afraid of upsetting your mom? I will change. Anton, you're a good person, but I need a partner, not a child I have to raise. I'm 30 years old. I'm a successful woman, and I'm not going to compete with your mother for a place in your life. I stepped out onto the stair landing and turned back. And you, Elena Borisovna, I wish you find a wife for your son according to your criteria. But I'm afraid such a woman will quickly put you in your place, because successful people do not tolerate disrespect, even from a mother-in-law. Walking down the stairs, I felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. It was painful to part with Anton. I truly loved him. But it would have been even more painful to spend my life with a man who was not ready to stand up for me. Outside, I took out my phone and wrote to my friend. Thanks for the car. I'll return it tomorrow. There will be no wedding. Then I removed the cheap hair tie and shook my head free. Tomorrow I will return to my real life, successful, independent, with my head held high, and with the understanding that I deserve a man who will value me not for my money, but for who I am, and who will not be afraid to defend that. Justice was not in humiliating the snobs. Justice was in not letting them break me. And that was the most important victory.